Part of our top 20 questions. I did a video yesterday on the first five most asked Social Security questions, and that was predominantly about retirement benefits. So I went over these yesterday: when you should claim, what's your full retirement age, what's the difference, how benefits are calculated, can you work, whether those benefits are taxable. Talked about those yesterday, answered a bunch of questions because there's always exceptions. The exceptions. Social Security has over 20,000 pages of policy, so I answered a whole bunch of live Q&A, and we're going to do that again today. And today we're going to answer the second 5 questions out of the top 20, and this one is mostly about spouse benefits, surviving spouse, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. You don't know what that is probably, but we're going to talk about that today. So I'll go over the next 5, and then, because there's exceptions, I will answer a bunch of questions. So if you have any questions, make sure you type them into chat there. All right, so what are spouse benefits? Let's go. So there's many types of spouse benefits. Let me go into my website here, mygovexpert.com, totally free website, and you click on the family benefits, and we'll kind of go down the line. So we've got regular spouse benefits. So if you're married to someone right now and that person is receiving Social Security benefits, then you just might be eligible for benefits on their record. If you're currently married, you don't have to do the 10-year marriage or anything like that. That's only if you're divorced. But the key is you both have to start benefits on your own record. So you have to start benefits on your record if you're eligible. If you're not eligible, then no problem. But your spouse has to be receiving benefits. If you're currently married, there is an exception if you're divorced, we'll talk about. So if you're currently married, you both have to start your benefits, and then one spouse can collect benefits on the other spouse's record if one spouse's benefit amount, their full benefit amount, called their PIA, primary insurance amount, if it's less than half of the others, then you can collect benefits on that record. It's one offsets the other. And here's a key that a lot of people out there are making mistakes, and there's probably thousands, tens of thousands of people out there that are not getting the benefits they need, the money they need every month, because they don't know this. So please like and subscribe and share and all that kind of good stuff. Let's make sure we help as many people as possible. But what a lot of people mess up on is they look at the incorrect numbers. So when I say your benefit amount has to be less than your spouse's or your divorced spouse's, don't look at your check. That's not your benefit amount, probably. Your benefit amount, your PIA, your primary insurance amount, that's the amount you would have received if you waited until your full retirement age. So that's the number you look at, and that's the number you look at for your spouse as well. So if you're like, well, I was divorced, and so I don't know what my previous spouse's benefit PIA, primary insurance amount is, no problem. Just call Social Security, give them that person's Social Security number. If you don't have it, no problem. Give them that person's name, the date of birth, how old they are, where they were born, and the Social Security employee will be able to find it. I've found millions of those with very, very little information when I worked at Social Security. So they'll be able to find that person's Social Security number, and they'll be able to look at that person's full benefit amount, their PIA, and tell you whether there's any money there. What the problem is there's tens of thousands of people out there that are currently married, and you've got Jane and Bob sitting there watching TV, and Jane says, oh, Ed just says I can get some money off you. It's about time I got something off you, you know. So how much is your check? Oh, my check is this month. Well, here's my check. Oh, it's not less than half, so I guess I can't get any money. So what's on TV? No, you're looking at the wrong numbers. You are looking at the MBA. That's what we used to call it. And well, that's what they still call it in Social Security. It's called the monthly benefit amount. That's not the number you look at, because you might have received your benefits early, or your spouse might have delayed after their full retirement age, or you might be having Medicare taken out or taxes taken out. So that's not the number you look at. You look at the full benefit amount at the full retirement age, the primary insurance amount. So please like, share, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff, so we teach this stupid algorithm to send this out to more people so people get help. There's a lot of people out there struggling and need that extra $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month, and you can help people get that. that they're eligible for by pressing like and subscribe and all that stupid stuff. Okay, that's the last time I'm going to say that. Stupid algorithms. You gotta teach it like a dog. It's like here's a treat. Do something good for humanity. All right, so that's the spouse benefits. Currently married to someone, the PIA is less than half of the other person's, and make sure you call, and both people have to be receiving benefits. Okay, what about divorce spouse benefits? There's also divorce spouse benefits. So if you were married to someone for 10 years or longer, then you could be eligible for benefits on their record. And again, same type of situation, that one, the primary insurance amount has to be less than half of the other primary insurance amount, okay? So the divorced spouse benefits. And here's another thing that a lot of people are missing out there, and therefore missing money, is they say, yes, I was married to someone when my 20s and 30s that I was married to for 10 years, but since then I got remarried. And then they end the sentence there. And Social Security doesn't end that sentence there. They say, okay, you got remarried after that one time that you were married for 10 years. Are you still married to that person, that second marriage or the third marriage or the fourth marriage? Are you still married? No, I got married for 10 years, and I was married for a few years, and I got divorced, and I was married for a few years, and I got divorced. Okay, you're eligible for benefits on that first ex-spouse. Just because you got remarried doesn't negate that 10-year marriage. You were married to some people. And I know some people are going to come in here, well, that's why Social Security is going bankrupt, is because they're giving money to, 3 spouses ago and stuff. But that's the law. That's been like that for a long time. So you are eligible for benefits even if you got remarried. The key is that you're no longer married. If you got married to that person, married for 10 years, and then you got remarried and you're still married, then no, you're not going to be able to get divorce spouse benefits on that person's record. So, and again, same type of situation. You call up, you have to be receiving benefits on your own record first. So you file for benefits on your own record, and then you see if you're eligible for benefits on another record. And that's what the Social Security employees are supposed to do when you file for benefits, is they ask you those questions. They say, were you ever married to anybody for 10 years? Or married to anybody that passed when you were married, and you were married to that person for at least 9 months? Then they start asking a whole bunch of questions. And I've had situations where someone was married 3 times, and each marriage was 10 years or longer. So you have to go through each ex-spouse. First ex-spouse, okay, you can get extra $100 on this one. Second ex-spouse, no extra money. Third ex-spouse, you can get $300 extra on that person. Well, looks like third ex-spouse is a winner. Let's go ahead and file a spouse claim on that person's record. But there's a lot of people out there. And there's another thing people are missing money on is they say, well, yeah. I was married to that person for 10 years, but in the divorce decree, it says I can't get that money. And do you know how much that statement carries weight in Social Security? Nothing. Social Security doesn't care what you wrote, what your ex-lawyer, that lawyer, ex-spouse wrote in there about you. You're not going to get their Social Security. Social Security doesn't care. That has no relevance to Social Security. You can't, the lawyer knew that. The lawyers, you can't do that. You can say, okay, if you start collecting benefits, then I have to pay you less alimony or something like that. But in terms of, no, you're not able to collect my Social Security, they can't do that. When you file for divorce spouse benefits, you have to provide 2 things. You have to provide marriage certificate that shows, you two got married, and the divorce decree. And the only thing Social Security employee is looking at is that 10 years. So they look at names on the marriage certificate when you got married, names on the divorce decree, and when you got divorced, and that's it. Page 37, where it says, you're going to give up the dog and the 1972 Pinto and all rights to Social Security, no relevance whatsoever. So, all right, I'm going to say it one more time. Like, subscribe, because you might not know anybody that fits these situations, but once you do that, then it goes out to other people and maybe some more people, and you made someone's life so much easier because you pushed a stupid button. So there it is. All right, so there's divorce spouse benefits, 10-year marriage. Survivor benefits are different. And here's another thing people mess up. What are survivor benefits? Survivor benefits are surviving spouse, widower benefits. And if you're a divorced survivor versus a regular survivor. So if it's a divorce type situation, then yes, 10-year marriage. You had to be married to that person for 10 years in order to be eligible for survivor and spouse benefits. Okay. But if you were married to that person when they passed, then, oh, my flag fell down. My Marine Corps and my American flag. We can't have that. So if you were married to that person when they passed away, you just had to be married to that person for at least 9 months. And there's actually a couple of sections. One is that they're active duty military or they passed away in an accident. So I've had people that were died in the line of duty. They were only married 7 months and that person was eligible survivor benefits, or it was an accident type situation. But basically 9 months. Again, if it's not a divorce type situation. So survivor benefits are also different in the sense of you do not have to start benefits on your own record. What a lot of people do is you can choose, and you can also start survivor benefits as early as 60 years old. So regular spouse benefits, regular, retirement benefits, 62. And here's, again, people make mistakes and they wait 2 years. They think, well, I can't collect survivor benefits till 62 because it's all 62. No, survivor benefits, you can collect it 2 years early. There's people out there waiting 2 years and they're losing money. So you can start survivor benefits as early as 60 years old. And what you can do, here's what some people do. They go ahead and file for survivor benefits. And when they hit 62 years old, they don't switch to theirs. They check the numbers. And if it looks more beneficial, what they do is they don't touch theirs until full retirement age, 67 or 70. And then they switch from survivor benefits to benefits on their own record. So if you're 62 years old and you're eligible for both today, you look at the numbers and say, okay, I can start my spouse, I can start my surviving spouse benefits now. Don't touch mine. Let mine accumulate. In a few years, I'll jump over to mine. Perfect. Or sometimes, depending on the numbers, you can go ahead and collect benefits on your own record while you're waiting to your survivor benefits to increase. And it won't increase after your full retirement age. And sometimes it doesn't even increase after 62 and a half. It depends whether your deceased spouse passed away very, very early. So survivor benefits are usually a little bit more complicated. And I've done a bunch of videos on survivor benefits, and there's always exceptions on that one. So that's why I do a live Q&A pretty much every single day. All right. So, and then also do a video. So if you go onto my website, mygovexpert.com, you'll see in the very bottom left, it's hard to see on this one, but on the very bottom left of mygovexpert.com there is a little, oops. I lost it there. A little, this is live, right? Okay. So there is where am I? Okay. All right. So there is a little camera on the bottom left there, that'll show you, exactly. Oh, I'm all over the place here. Let me get back in here. Okay. Sorry about that. Wow. Is this, so this is 100% proof this is 100% live. Unless you're watching this on a recording later, then it's not live, obviously. But anyway, there's a little camera on the bottom left there that you can click on and you can record a video. And I'm going to answer some of those videos here in a minute of people with questions. Okay. All right. So let's get into our next question now that we've got our technical issues figured out here. This is a one-man show, by the way. There's no people in the in the booth back there and the producer. This is all me and my son. So, but yeah, he's not here today. All right. What about so this is what do remarriage or divorce affect benefits? So again, as I mentioned, for divorce spouse benefits, if you remarry, then those benefits stop, or you can't apply for those benefits if you're remarried and you're still married, right? As I mentioned, with survivor and spouse benefits, a little bit of change on everything on that one. So for survivor spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, widow, widower, same exact thing. You can actually remarry after the age of 60. So this was passed many, many years ago. It was called, they actually call it the Living in Sin Act. That's kind of the colloquial name that they used. It's basically Congress says, hey, there's a lot of elderly people out there that lost their loved one that they were with and, since high school and stuff, and that's terrible. But then, later on in life, they find someone new and it's a beautiful thing and they're happy and we like that. But they don't want to get married because they're going to lose their surviving spouse benefits. And that's not right, Congress. And so this is one thing that Congress kind of did. Congress can do things correctly sometimes. And they said, we don't want these people to live in sin, living together and not be married. So that's, again, this passed a long time ago. So they said, okay, they changed the law. They said, okay, if you remarry after 60, then you can go ahead and continue to collect your surviving spouse benefits. So that is the only time remarriage doesn't affect your benefits. And yes, I have had people, Social Security has people all the time that, they, get married and they don't realize it and their benefits stop. And then so they go to get divorced and then remarry a few months later after they turn 60 years old. So people, but most people do it, for good reasons. So yeah, there's people that they just don't know the regulation. So what are you going to do? All right. So number 10, spouse dies before retirement. So if you have a spouse that passes away before retirement benefits, I got this question yesterday on the live Q&A. They said, what happens to that money? Well, that's number one, that's the social part of Social Security. I used to have people all the time saying, hey, husband just passed away. I'm too young to get survivor benefits. My benefit amount is more anyway. So what happens to all that money that person paid in that they will never get back? Where does it go to? And 99% of the time I say, there was a case yesterday where a young father passed away, terrible car accident. They had 3 kids. That's where that money went to. So that's the social part of Social Security. So, and their calculations are also different. If a spouse passes away before retirement benefits, the surviving spouse is still eligible for that benefit amount. And there's no reduction or anything like that. Social Security assumes that person was going to wait until their full retirement age to collect those benefits. So the surviving spouse gets those benefits. And even if the on the other side of that coin, if the spouse passes away after the full retirement age, let's say the spouse passes away at 69 years old and they haven't started collecting Social Security benefits yet. Remember, after your full retirement age, let's say 67, Social Security adds 8% to your Social Security check every year you wait past your full retirement age to collect Social Security benefits. So if somebody waits till 70, then they get 24% added on there. So if they waited till 69, then they would get 16%. So those delayed retirement credits go to the surviving spouse that month. Unfortunately, if the person passes away at 69, Social Security doesn't say, well, the person was probably going to wait till 70, so we'll just go ahead and give them the surviving spouse the full 24%. No, they don't do that. They only give you those delayed retirement credits up to the month that person passes away. So, and remember, here's what Elon Musk and the Doge didn't understand about Social Security. They said, Social Security is paying all these people that are not here. Yes, Social Security pays deceased people on a daily basis. If you have someone pass the check, and remember, you're always entitled to that check if you're alive and kicking the entire month. So if someone passes away July 15th, they're not eligible for the August check because the July check comes in August, but they are eligible for the July check because the July check was for June. So if you ever had that happen, you just leave it in the bank account and the Department of Treasury goes in there and grabs it, no problem whatsoever. So they're pretty good about grabbing that. So, all right. So now there's exceptions, the exceptions. And so let's go ahead and get into some of those exceptions. And as usual, live Q&A is sponsored by our friends at Chapter there. So if you need any help with all things Medicare, Medicare supplement, see if you can save yourself some money, particularly give them a call. October 15th to December 7th is your chance to go ahead and change your Medicare Advantage plan, Medicare supplement plan. You can do that any time of the year if you're, if you have, if you're able to pass health underwriting. So, all right, let's get to some questions. My divorced spouse feels like a joke, just like my ex. He did not too much. Yeah, $165. Yeah, sometimes it's not very much, but your disability began with 7 years after the month you're earlier. Oh, okay, so they're having someone filed for it's called DWIB, Disabled Widows Benefits, and there were some people that were having a discussion before we began our live Q&A today, and one of those is that she filed for what's called Disabled Widows Benefits. And you can get disabled widows benefits from age 50 to 59. Remember I said for surviving spouse benefits, you have to wait till 60? Well, what I say about exceptions, surviving, it's called disabled widows benefits. You can get that between 50 and 59 if you're disabled. So you're basically getting your disability based on the deceased spouse's work record. But as this person found out, you had to be disabled within 7 years, 7 years of the person's passing. So there is a time frame, there's a cutoff there. So it looks like this person did not meet that cutoff, unfortunately. It did not meet the 7-year requirement. And then there's another person that said I've got a video Q&A about another type of date last insured, which I'll get to here in a little bit. So Dan, lost my second wife to brain cancer. She was 60. Wow, way, way, way too early. We were married 9 years. Could there be a possible benefit? I just started drawing my Social Security this year at 63. Yeah, unfortunately, Social Security exceptions, but unfortunately, well, no, because you were married. It sounds like you were married. Yeah, it's hard to tell. If it was a divorce type situation, unfortunately, there is no exceptions. It has to be 10 years. But common law, there are some states that do common law, recognize common law, but even then you had to be married, common law, be holding out as a man and a wife for 10 years. So there is no exception for the 10-year thing. You said 9 years, but if you were married to that person, to her when she passed away, 10 years not relevant. If you were married 9 years, then you're eligible for benefits on that person. So if you're not remarried, or if you remarried after the age of 60 years old. So my ex of 26 years left me disabled. I had to give up alimony once I began to receive my Social Security. Yeah, sometimes they write that in the divorce decree that if you ever get Social Security, then, alimony or whatever, but that's private alimony type of situation. But Social Security, people often confuse those divorce decrees that, hey, I'm giving up my rights to Social Security. You can't do that. No. In that type of context, you can't do it. So got my ANOC today for Part D plan. Premium still $0, but deductible went from $590 to $615, tier 3 up, and copays went up. As long as my blood pressure medication stays tier 1, no changes for me. Okay, good deal. Jonah is awesome like that. Jonah says, forget about those billionaire insurance company executives. I'm going to make sure I get everything I paid into the system. So, and that's what you're supposed to do. The ANOC is the annual notice of change. It's coming out this month in September. You should get it by the end of September, and it tells you all your changes for Medicare Advantage and your Part D plan. And the health insurance companies want you to throw that away and ignore it, so they can automatically switch you to another plan starting January 1st, one that benefits them. But people in our community are smarter than that. They check and to see, just like Jonah there. And sounds like her plan is good. Hopefully you also checked other plans in the area and see if there's other zero premium that is not going to cost you as much. So Good, good, good. And if you need help, you can reach out to Chapter like everybody else that helps you with that. They don't charge you for anything. They can look at your current plan and see what's available in your area and see if they can switch you. So if you receive an ANOC, annual notice of change, make sure you do something, because the health insurance companies hope you don't do anything. So if her surviving ex-spouse starts 71.5% of deceased benefits at 60, yes, that is correct. That's the benefit amount. Then switches to own benefits at 67, will the Social Security count that as a starting benefits early and reduce their own PIA percent as a result? No. So you're switching. So if you never touched benefits on your own record, you're filing a new claim at full retirement age, so you're going to get 100% of your benefit amount. What you got in survivor benefits, no relevance whatsoever. So, yep. So yes, it's 71 disabled widows benefits, 71.5%. So can my wife take her benefits at 65? I am 69 now working. Absolutely. If she wants to start benefits now, absolutely. And because you're 69, are you waiting for 70 to collect your benefits? So she can file for benefits on her record. And if you're receiving benefits on your record, then she can file for a spouse claim on your record, if the calculations are, correct. And a key point on this is so if she files now, and then, let's say you start your benefits, right now, 69 years old, you are going to get the delayed retirement credits. And they won't look at that number. They look at the PIA, the amount you would receive at full retirement age, not full retirement age plus, 16 or 24% with the delayed retirement credits. They don't look at that until you pass. So a current spouse does not receive delayed retirement credits. But if something would happen to you, then if she is on your record, if she's receiving Social Security benefits on your record, it usually just what's called auto convert. If she's her full retirement age, it'll automatically convert to surviving spouse benefits, and then she will get those delayed retirement credits. So, but if she's not her full retirement age, then what Social Security is supposed to do, they're supposed to contact her when you pass. If let's say, for another example, I'm not talking about you, or use another example. If someone is only 66 years old, and they're not their full retirement age, and their spouse passes, Social Security is supposed to contact you and says, hey, we can switch you to surviving spouse benefits, or would you rather suspend those benefits and wait to get the full benefit at 67? They'll give them that option. So, does Medicare and its supplement start on the day of your birthday? No, it doesn't care about the day. It starts whatever month. So if you start your benefits, Medicare in January, it'll start January 1st. If February 1st. So, let's see. One of two deceased ex-spouse benefits me and daughter, 14-year-old child. I'm 52, and when those benefits run out because of her age, I'm 100% VA disabled. SSA is denied. Okay. All right. So this is a couple of things. A child is receiving benefits on the parent's record, and she will continue to receive benefits until she's 18 years old, or until she graduates high school, not college, high school, or 19 and 2 months if she's still in high school. But you are receiving child in care benefits. So that basically means you're taking care of a child that's receiving benefits, and that child is under the age of 16. So yes, if your child is not disabled, then your benefits as a child in care, your benefits, because you're taking care of that child, your benefits will stop when she turns 16 years old. If she's disabled, then she has to file a disability claim and prove that she became disabled before the age of 22, which obviously she is before 22, but hopefully she's not disabled. But and so your benefits will stop at 16 when she turns 16. And you're 100% VA disabled, and your Social Security disability was denied. Okay, I think, okay, you're the one that you were denied because you filed for disabled widows benefits on that person's record, and you didn't have that disability within the 7 years. So, yeah. But remember, you can file for benefits on your own record as well. So there is no 7-year thing on your own record, but there is what's called delayed date last insured. So let's go ahead and show that video now. I think this is the one with the date last insured question. So let's see here.
Hi, Dr. Ed. This is Ed. As I like to say, two Eds are better than one. Quick question. I am 60 years old, been fighting diffused large B-cell lymphoma stage 4 from the get-go. In June of 23, my date last insured was December of 22 because I'm a builder and my income is sporadic. So at any rate, I dug back in my medical records, and my God, I was chewing ibuprofen and going to the emergency room and had all kinds of stuff sort of off the record while I was trying to fix my health insurance. Off the record being just how to pay cash here in Florida. I'm a builder from Boston. So my question is, do you have any advice on refiling, whether I should make note of the original denial, which I put in for June because that's when I had proof, but I can tie this thing back to when I had before my date last insured.
Okay, absolutely. Yes. If you disagree with a decision of Social Security, any government entity, always fight it, appeal it. So what he's talking about for receiving disability benefits on your own record, we're not talking about disabled widows benefits, disability benefits on your own record, you have to fulfill 2 insurance statuses. You have to be insured. That means you're actually paid into Social Security at some time. So you have to be, sometimes it's the 10 years. If you're become disabled very, very young, then you don't have to have the 10 years paying into it. But for his particular case, he was insured. So, when he turned 62 years old, he can go ahead and file for regular retirement benefits. He'd be insured because he paid into Social Security. But what they're saying is that he is no longer insured, which is a completely different thing. It's called date last insured. And here's the thing. So this is Congress decided this, and I always explain it kind of the same way. Congress says, okay, let's say a person has worked and paid into Social Security when they're 20 or 30s. Mic is getting cut out. Oh, no. Audio cutting out, breaking up, losing sound. Well, this is not good. Let's double check what's all kinds of technical issues here. Let me check, see what's going on there. We got all sound there. All right. Hopefully we're still there. Oh, okay. Someone said someone having issues there. All right. So, all right. Some people are fine. Some people are not. Okay. Perfect. Well, how about perfect? Anyway, so the date last insured. So Congress said, okay, someone that, for example, works in their 20s and 30s and they pay into Social Security, and so they're insured for Social Security when they turn 62, those benefits are there. Okay. But in terms of disability, let's say that person worked in their 20s and 30s and paid 10 years, and then they took the next 20 years off and traveled the world and didn't work. And then, skydiving in Panama, they get injured. And so they come into Social Security and they say, I can no longer work because I'm disabled. And so Social Security says, or Congress says, no, you haven't been working for, 20 years. They don't put the 20-year thing, but they say you have to have worked and paid into Social Security 5 out of the last 10 years. You can't come in and, say that, I'm disabled, I'm no longer to work if you haven't been working, kind of. And in his particular situation, it sounds like, there's a lot of people that kind of, particularly in construction and whatever, kind of, work for cash and, up and down and, whatever the market is and stuff. So, his date last insured was, let's say, January 2023. So the last time he was insured or disability would be January 2023. So he had to prove that he was disabled before January 2023. If he says, yeah, and Social Security says, yep, we've found you disabled on February 2023, that's not going to help because you weren't insured on February 2023 because your date last insured is January. So that's what he's running into, those 2 insurance statuses. But Number one, what you should do is check your work record. And so go into ssa.gov, go into my Social Security and make sure all of the reported earnings are 100% correct. So, because sometimes, they transpose a number and you don't get what you're, are entitled to there and what you actually paid into it. So if you actually paid in 2021 and there's zero earnings in Social Security, that means something's messed up and you need to get that fixed. And that might add another year onto your date last insured. So that's the number one thing, is to check, make sure that your earnings record is correct. And then number two, yes, you file for an SSA 561, which is a request for reconsideration. Super easy. If you go to my website or you go to ssa.gov, whichever, click on the appeals there, and this is what it is. So the first level of appeals is called the request for reconsideration, and you just print off this little form right there. I've got a link there, or you can go to ssa.gov, SSA 561, and you just say, no, I disagree. I did become disabled before the date last insured, or the date last insured that you calculated is incorrect. It was insured longer. So, all right, let's see what else here. Hi, can you get divorced spouse benefits if already receive SSDI? Yes, thank you for that question. I like to answer that at least a few times a week. Because again, a lot of people out there are not receiving these benefits that they're supposed to. If you're receiving SSDI, and you're eligible for any other type of benefits, just the fact that you're receiving disability benefits does not stop you from getting other benefits. And some people say, yeah, I know that. I'm getting disability benefits and I'm eligible for another $200 from a spouse or divorced spouse or surviving spouse, but I don't want to switch to that. I don't want to get that extra $200 because I'm only 62 years old. And if I get off disability and switch to spouse benefits or divorced spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits, then I'll lose my disability, which is fine, but I got my Medicare. And I'll also lose my Medicare because I'm losing my disability. That is 100% incorrect. So if you're eligible for any other benefits, spouse, divorced spouse, surviving spouse, and you're receiving disability benefits, you'll continue to get your disability benefits, but you'll just get those other benefits on top of that. One offsets the other. You won't get two full checks. One offsets the other. And because your skill is still getting disability benefits underneath there, underneath the other added check, your Medicare will continue. So there's a lot of people that don't go for that extra money because they think they'll lose their Medicare, and which is not correct. So Tricia, chapter is great. Helped my friend wonderfully. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. I always keep an eye on any organization that my son and I recommend, and they're doing a phenomenal job, as are, speaking of surviving spouse and everything, all these people support our channel, our ability to have this free website and this other website that we're coming up with, platform to help people keep their Medicaid and food stamps and disability and work on CDRs and all that kind of stuff. So wherever it is, yes, there it is right there. So if you're looking for final expense burial insurance, make sure you reach out to David DeFord and his team, and they'll see if it's right for you and give you some free quotes. Let's see, Bonnie. Answering someone else's question. Thank you. We have a great community like that. We all got a lot of work to do to come October. Yes, that is a fact. And there is going to be, some people are going to be very, very lucky. They're going to be canceled. It looks like about 1 million people are going to have their Medicare Advantage plans canceled. And that just might be a very, very good thing for them. Because if you get your Medicare Advantage plan canceled by the company, then you have a guaranteed issue right to get a Medicare supplement plan. And I'm going to have to do, maybe I'll have Ari from chapter, and within the next week or so, we will do a video on, Medicare supplements and more details for those people that get those cancellations. They want to know, oh, I can switch to a Medicare supplement. What is all that? What's the difference between a G and an N or an F and, all the rest of it. So, and that way, if you're able to get a Medicare supplement plan, then you go for it. But Usually it's because people don't know they're out there, or it's a budget issue. So, back taxes. We're going to talk with the IRS and make some good with a payment plan. Can state also tax from Social Security? Yes. If the Social Security Administration gets a court order, yes. Alimony, child support, taxes, yes. If there's a court order that tells Social Security to take money from your account, your Social Security, then yes, unfortunately. Had my appointment today with my husband to apply for spousal for him on my Social Security at my full retirement age. He is 65, applied early because of heart failure. I make $11.65. They said he gets $43. He makes $3.98. Probably again because they don't look at those numbers. You know, you make $11.65, so maybe you actually make $185 more, but because you're having Part B taken out, that's why you get the $11.65, and maybe you filed early, and so, or whatever the case may be, or he filed early. So yeah, that's, again, so don't look at those numbers, you look at the primary insurance amount. So if you double check, if you want to double check, you can just say, hey, you know, you can go to go into ssa.gov, mysocialsecurity.gov, or set up a My Social Security account, and then find out what your PIA is. And it's not listed on your My Social Security account. They changed it around a little bit. It's not, the number is not listed as, this is your PIA. It'll say, this is how much you would receive if you wait till your full retirement age. And that's your PIA. Your benefit amount at your full retirement age is your PIA, your primary insurance amount, the amount they use to make all the other calculations. So, Donald, I was just awarded SSDI effective September this year. I'm 63. My wife is 62, 63 in November. Can she file on my SSDI and get up to 50% of my benefit? What happens if I pass away and let's say it's 67? Okay, so wife is 62. She can file for benefits because you're currently receiving benefits. So that counts as currently receiving benefits, disability. She is at least 62 years old. So yes, she has to file for benefits on her own record. And if she's not insured for benefits on her own record, no problem. She still has to go through that process. And then she files for benefits on yours. She won't receive 50%. You did it correctly. Can she get up to 50%? Yes, she can get up to 50%, but at 62, she won't. It'll be reduced because she's filing early. If she waits until her full retirement age, then she'll get 50%. And then if something happens to you and she is 67, if she's already getting benefits on your record, it'll automatically be converted to surviving spouse benefits, and then she'll get that stupid $255 lump sum death payment thingy. If you pass away before that, then if she's receiving benefits on your record, then they'll ask her if she wants to start benefits early or not. So she will, because you're receiving disability benefits, if she is her full retirement age, when you shuffle off your mortal coil, as they say, she will get 100% of your full benefit amount, because there's no calculations because you didn't take your benefits early. If you receive Social Security disability insurance, that's not considered. There is no early or late in SSDI. So, if she's 67, she'll get 100% of your full benefit amount. And then if she's already receiving benefits on her own, then, you know, she can actually, you know, suspend her own and get those extra delayed retirement credits. And so, let's see, 1 million. Wow. What's 1 million? And I don't think that's our subscribers. So anyway, so one day, hopefully. That means you know, it's nice to get, you know, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but it's terrible that we're getting hundreds of thousands of subscribers. It's, you know, we shouldn't have to do this. You should be able to call Social Security. They pick up the phone and they help you. The customer service should be there. But unfortunately, Social Security is at a 50-year low in terms of staffing. Let me pull up the little graph here. Yeah. So this is the baby boomers, those gray bars there. And this is staffing at Social Security. It's at a 50-year low, even before Doge and Elon Musk came in. And now it's even lower. It's probably down around here. So, and then they're playing AI to pick up the phones, and they're saying, yeah, we're really doing good on our phones because we pick up the phone really quickly. Yeah, it's AI that picks up the phone. And they say, yeah, our wait time in our offices are really good. Yeah, because you're forcing people to go on appointments. They're manipulating the numbers like you wouldn't believe. If I had done that when I ran my office, if I would have manipulated the numbers like that, I would have been fired. So there was a famous scandal in 2014 at the VA in Phoenix, where the guy that was running the VA hospital in Phoenix was manipulating wait times numbers like that. And yeah, that was a big nationwide scandal. But now it's official to work the numbers. On a positive note, my SSDI was approved in 20. Wow, that's great, and it's also terrible. It's kind of the bittersweet. It's great that we're getting so many people watching our channel and stuff. It is terrible that they need to watch this channel, but unfortunately, that is reality. It's great that Social Security took care of you and they approved you so quickly, but Donald can probably attest that it's terrible because that is a serious medical condition. There's people that get approved for disability benefits the same day or the next day, and they're like, that's great, but it's also terrible because those are very, very bad terminal cases. Those people are really, really sick. It's great that the Social Security Administration and the employees were able to take care of you, Donald, and people in your situation. But yeah, I'm sure 100% you had hoped you didn't have to do it in the first place. So yeah, so it's a bittersweet thing. What's everyone's guess on COLA amount coming? Yeah. Yeah, I don't like playing around with that COLA thing. There's, as soon as the COLA comes out in the first week in October, as soon as they announce the COLA for 2026, there's going to be people on social media the very next day making videos about, I wonder what the 2027 COLA is going to be, just to get clicks, because the COLA announcements really get clicks, and people, like to, waste people's time. So, Nancy, I never see Penelope. It's a YouTube thing, I guess. Yeah, she was here a couple of days ago, and she answers questions for a bunch of people, and she is always 100% right. So I think she spent a few decades of Social Security. Johnny Bravo, great show. My wife and I are on traditional Medicare and Medicaid. If down the road we are booted off of Medicaid, would we have to go under medical underwriting? Really depends on your particular state. Possibly you might be able to get in there. I would call chapter at that particular time. There's a lot of things happening with Medicaid, but you have traditional Medicare, and right now, because you have Medicaid, it's illegal to sign you up for a Medicare supplement plan, like a Plan G or a Plan N. You can get a Medicare Advantage plan, so it sounds like you maybe have already checked that out and see if there's other benefits in there for you. If you want, you can reach out to chapter. But yeah, once you're kicked off of Medicaid, there are some situations where you just might be able to get it. I think it also helps to have a Medicare Advantage, and therefore the Medicare Advantage company cancels you because you've lost Medicaid. But the special enrollment periods, a lot of them those are state-based. For original Medicare and Medicare Advantage, those are national regulations and stuff. But Medicare supplement plans, because that's kind of traditional, insurance, each state has their own little rules and regulations. So, you can reach out to, whoever you trust, chapter, whoever, and they can help you out. Is there an income limit to get survivor benefits? Yes. Just like any other type of benefit, early retirement, you have to stay under $23,400. So anything over $23,400, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. So, but once you hit your full retirement age, then there is no limitation whatsoever you can go back to making $1 billion a month, no problem. So, all right, I got 3 more video questions here.
Hi, I was negatively impacted by the GPO. I worked under CSRS for 33 years. When my husband applied for Social Security when he reached his full retirement age back in 2016, I was told that, I couldn't apply for spousal benefits. I wouldn't have applied then anyway because I hadn't reached my full retirement age, which was 2023. And the Social Security person told me that I could not apply for Social Security under him because I wasn't eligible because of the GPO. Well, President Biden, before he left office on January 5th, signed the Social Security Fairness Act. And apparently that means that I am now eligible for half of my husband's Social Security. Like I said, I reached full retirement age in 2023. So I applied in May, and I made the mistake of applying online with no personal help or intervention from an agent, and I did not receive a retroactive payment. Now, everyone I know who has applied and gone through Social Security who was in the same circumstance that I was have all received a retroactive payment. And I've been trying since June the 11th when I had an appointment with Social Security.
Okay, so yeah, so the Social Security Fairness Act was passed by Biden. It's being paid right now. The current President Trump supported it as well. So those are for state, local, city, federal government workers that worked under a system that didn't pay into the Social Security, but they worked in other places that did pay into Social Security, so they're eligible for benefits. So there's the WEP, windfall elimination provision, and the government pension offset, which is what she's talking about. That's when you get spouse benefits. So to answer your question, the Social Security Fairness Act, if you read it, it's one paragraph. The typical Congress, they just, write one paragraph and then let Social Security figure out all the millions of little details because Congress sucks at writing laws. But anyway, so that way, if anything happens, they just blame Social Security, right? Or any agency. That's how they play the game. So, but part of that one paragraph, it says they will go back to January 2024 and pay retroactive benefits. So it sounds like, they messed up years. And so they might say something like, well, you didn't, you weren't receiving benefits then, so you weren't eligible. You didn't have an application. But people like you that said, okay, you filed 2 or 3 or 4 years ago for your own benefits, and then they said, oh, you're eligible for spouse benefits. Oh, you're not eligible for spouse benefits because that GPO, 2/3 of that non-covered pension offset, yada, yada, yada. And you say, well, if that's the case, then what's the point of doing an application? So you say, forget about it. And the Social Security employees say, yeah, it's no point in doing one because you're not going to get any money. So maybe if you would have done one at that time and just been complete offset and denied, or you wouldn't be denied, it would just be offset. You wouldn't get any money. It'd be approved, but you just wouldn't get any money. Then when they change the law, then your benefits would automatically start and everything would have been perfect. But you did what most people do. They say, well, why file? Why go through the nightmare if it's not going to get me any money? And so I guess they're kind of perhaps using that against you, it sounds like. So I would do the SSA 561, and it looks like they did give you some money. So you're just disagreeing with the start date, the month of entitlement, the MOE. So you just do that SSA 561 and say, no, Social Security Fairness Act says I get it back to January 2024. I was eligible before January 2024, and I didn't file because, I talked to one of your employees and they say, why, if you're not going to get any money, why go through that? So that's why I didn't file at that time, but I want my money. So that's what I do. SSA 561, super, super easy to fill out. Takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and you just, just recount that story. All right, let's see what else we have here.
Hi, Dr. Ware. I wanted to make this short and sweet, but first of all, I wanted to thank you for everything you do. And you're such a great guy. Every time I get off YouTube, I just say, what a great guy. Anyway, my question
I'm
is,
not showing the face because this is me. I changed my voice to just no.
and I hope this is a better recording than the last one. I don't know if I uploaded it or not. Anyway, Dr. Ware, my son is a disabled adult. He gets benefits off his father's record. I am his representative payee. I am applying for early retirement benefits. I know based on my record, I won't get much. In fact, I looked on the website under my account. I won't be getting much. But Social Security told me that my son can receive benefits off my record and it will not decrease my award. So is that the case? Thank you. Bye.
Absolutely, that is the
Hi,
case.
Dr. Ware. I
Oops.
wanted to make this short.
Yes, that's the case. So if you've got a disabled adult child or a child or anything like that, then it won't affect benefits on your own record. No, no, whatsoever. There are certain circumstances we're talking about auxiliary child and care and family max or something like that, but that doesn't apply to you. So no. And okay, we got a last question here, a kind of a comment, and I'm going to cut her off because she leaves her name and phone number and stuff like that. But this is an interesting one. I don't know. I'm suspicious of what's going on here. So
I have a young friend who is on Social Security disability, and she got 2,700 pages from Social Security office, and it has the first 1,000 pages has other people's complete Social Security information on it, and we don't know where to go to tell people about it. So I thought maybe you would know what to do, because this is going to end up, I'm guessing, a class action thing.
okay, all right. She leaves some personal information that I want to play there, but yeah, 2,700 pages. That's a big box. You know, you get the ARIMA paper, it's got what, 500 pages or something. So 2,700 is going to be a pretty good big box. And that's not something, you know, that Social Security employees, you know, drop in the mail. You know, that's a, the only thing that goes out of boxes are, you know, people have medical records that the local Social Security office is sending back to the cave. And yes, Social Security, you know, remember the OPM cave that was, Social Security does have caves. There's famous movies and stuff like that. IBM and Apple, they all use these caves. They're underground and they're humidity controlled, and so a lot of big Fortune 500 companies and companies throughout the world use caves to put stuff into records. So Social Security does the same thing. So when Social Security offices, I did this in my office when I took over, we had probably about 80 filing cabinets full of old disability folders, and it was just taking up space. And trying to save the Social Security some money by reducing the space, the floor space, so we can save on rent, I spent weeks sending those boxes of files back to the cave for them to be archived back there. So that's the only, and so I don't think that, unless you live around a cave there and actually delivered it to your particular box, but I don't think it's from Social Security. It's probably from, but I don't know where it's from. But yeah, if you see something like that, call the OIG, the Office of the Inspector General, and they'll do an investigation. And if some Social Security, you know, send you a box of whatever, then they will look at that, and that person will get the big chicken dinner, the bad conduct discharge, we used to call it in the Marine Corps. But yeah, call up OIG. You know, if you don't trust the Social Security OIG, if it's medical type stuff, you can call Medicare, the OIG, the Office of Inspector General Medicare. You can call local news and tell them you got it. You know, people should be held accountable if they send out stuff like that, thousands of pages of other people's Social Security numbers. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Social Security or some private hospital or credit card company or Doge, whoever it is, they should be held responsible for it. So, and I've fired many employees for doing a lot less than that, for accessing someone's record online that they weren't able to access. One person's, you're not supposed to access that record. Bye. So you're talking thousands. Then yeah, someone will be in deep trouble for that one. So those are your options. And yeah, once you notify or something, if it comes out in the news or you want to let us know what happened to it, come on back here and record another video and say, yeah, I contacted the local news and they did a story of it, and here's the story or something, whatever. So yeah, that'd be awesome to follow up on that. All right. Other than that, y'all take care. Have a beautiful night. And please, 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 please take care of each other.